Hi there, Dr. Jill Castro here. I have a question. What would it be like to not have to rely on coffee, energy drinks, or just sheer willpower to get through the day? Can you imagine waking up energized, not having aching joints, not brain fog all the time, and having a new lease on life? Well, if this seems like a dream, it's not necessarily, and I'm going to explain to you a way from exhaustion to energize, a path to healing, restoring your energy, and reducing inflammation. So I created intentional living health and wellness. I stepped out of the traditional medical model because I was tired of seeing people not understanding the root cause to these problems like pain and inflammation and autoimmune issues. I want to empower people with knowledge of what's going on and then give them tools and skills to be able to strategize and take ownership of their health. So, chances are, if you're here, you probably are very familiar with fatigue and exhaustion. And exhaustion means like you slept pretty well and you still woke up feeling beat up. Your joints ache, your muscles are sore, your nerves are screaming at you. And no matter what you've tried, you continue to have fatigue and exhaustion throughout the day. And it wears on you and it causes you not to be able to keep up with your daily activities or much less make plans for other things. So maybe you went and saw a doctor about it and the traditional workup shows that your labs are okay, or maybe they're a little off, and there's not that much to do about it. Well, maybe it's wear and tear on diagnostic studies, and maybe you've been counseled to try different medications or modify your diet, as if what would you modify that to? Try to get more sleep, and you already have, or try a few medications for stress. Now, the problem with this is that you can't manage what you don't fully measure because the standard labs don't really get to the root cause. And honestly, when do they start to change? When the disease has already started and you're chasing it after that point. And really, the reason you're not going to get those answers under the traditional medical model is because care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong or enhance the quality of life is not considered medically necessary. Those are the Medicare guidelines. So their hospital and that treatment's fine for acute illnesses and putting out fires and surgeries and such. But if you're trying to stay out of the hospital and preventative care, you're kind of on your own. And this is where I want to really help people understand how to do that and stay out of the hospital. That is my main goal here. So, where do we find clues to get to where we're feeling undone and beat up from this fatigue? Well, we have to look at what we're putting in our bodies, what food, drink, other substances over time, right? Then we also want to look at our environment, what's inside, outside that might be just wearing away, wearing us down that we don't even know. And then what do we allow ourselves to see and hear? Because detox is not just the physical stuff, it's emotional and social and psychological as well, right? And then also, what illnesses or traumas have we had in the past? Maybe those haven't really fully healed like we thought. And finally, cellular inflammation. Now, that sounds very technical, I know, but really, there's a lot of things going on in your body. And if your cells are inflamed, it can contribute to continued fatigue and irritability, and your body's breaking down. And you may not even know that until it's too late. And what about stress, right? Chronic stress causes your fight or flight system to be on all the time. And obviously, that's going to break down your body. Now, this also causes hormone imbalance. Too much cortisol increases your blood pressure. It causes weight gain, brain fog, and depression. So, if we're not in the acute stress state and we don't have to get out of trouble anymore, we have to be out of chronic stress. And that's easier said than done, but there are ways to do that. And then how do you know about how's your gut doing? What are you putting in your body and how is it being processed? Over 70% of your hormones are made in the gut. So if things aren't working there, your hormones are going to be unbalanced. And your gut's not just for digesting food, it's also key in helping to regulate multiple systems. It's responsible for energy, for mood, and mobility. And so even the gut microbiome, all the goodies in your gut, they're involved in multiple neurologic, mental health, and gastrointestinal disorders. So if things are wrong there, your whole system is going to be affected. And did you also know that often medications you might be prescribed or taking, they may not be working if your gut's not working because they're not going to be absorbed in cells that are inflamed. And honestly, how do you know if your cells are inflamed? We have to look. We have to look at the right labs, which typically is not done under the traditional model. And they won't show that they're wrong until you're well into a state of decline and then you're chasing things, right? So the prevention is the best way to go about this. And most of these diseases are preventable or reversible a little bit. So why is it important to go beyond the traditional testing? You need to evaluate these areas of inflammation and infection. You have to know what you're trying to treat. You also want to discover what foods to avoid, where you're low in supplements or minerals and vitamins, and what you need to add to the system. And then you also need to get clarity on what symptoms may have been overlooked or underdiagnosed. And this isn't anybody's fault. It's just the way the system's set up. And we just need to take a deeper dive. And everyone's unique, so it's not one size fits all. And that's where often things get overlooked as well. So the lab tests are looking at enzyme systems, inflammatory markers, your hormones, micronutrients, and toxins, among other things. Finally, the next step is name it. We want to name what's going on, not just the symptoms. Symptoms are fine, but they are a signal of something else happening. So we find out what's the root cause, what's causing this. And usually there's several things, but we want to get to it, right? Then we own it. And then we say, we're going to move beyond it. What are we going to do to take action? Because we're tired of aging rapidly. Don't want to live with chronic inflammation, stress, joint pain, gut inflammation, autoimmune issues. These were not around 20 and 30 years ago as much. And so we definitely need to take charge of this on our own. I want to help you with that. And there's definitely ways to do this. If you wait until it's too late and keep waiting for those labs to occur or the next blood draw or the next symptom, well, you're wasting time, years on your life and energy. You may wind up like this, wondering, how did I get here? What happened? I saw that a lot in the traditional practice that I was in. Most people had no idea of what got them there. But really, it winds up with a decline in mobility. You have weight gain, your balance fails, you have falls and fractures, infections, your memory starts to go, you lose your independence, and essentially you're turning your life over to somebody else. This is not okay. But I'm telling you, our nursing homes are filling up more and more with people at younger and younger ages. We have to do something about it. And this is why I'm so passionate about it. So, final thoughts on this little quick summary. Fatigue and inflammation, these are signals, signs of something else going on, underlying process of imbalance and breakdown. It's not usually caused by one thing, it's usually caused by multiple things. And in order to get to the root cause of that and help to resolve that, we have to do a deeper dive. Our signature programs at Intentional Living Health and Wellness offer you information, doing that deeper dive into lab work, and then helping you to interpret that, providing you tools of what do we do next, because just the information by itself may not be enough. I want to give you those tools. You have access and ownership of your information, and then we'll give you choices of what to do about that, whether we need to do a little detox program, which personally I think needs to be done in community or with assistance because it's hard. It's a change in our lifestyle, but I'm here to help you with that and hold your hand through that. And then offering you also tools or supplements if you're low on something and it's necessary. And then other parts of our health and wellness, including addressing sleep, addressing stress, addressing movement medicine. All of these things are comprehensive and part of your general health. So if you want to age well, I really invite you to take part in our program here. You know, Henry Ford said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So if you're ready to make a change and want to see some differences, you can contact me at either of these links for a discovery call or an appointment, and we'll get to know each other better. We'll send you some paperwork. We'll do a deeper dive as to what's going on with you, and let me help you help yourself, because I'm a big proponent of people owning their health and then being able to take charge of their own health care. I so look forward to seeing you coming up.